You know me in this live situation.
I know. I was about to text you like, do I wait for you to come here or do I send you the invite? Is it gonna ping you? Like, how does this work?
I requested and got your invitation at the same time. I'm like, okay, it'll
Oh,
work out.
okay.
It'll work out. You know, it all works out.
What's up? You look
Oh, hi
cute.
everyone. Look at everybody. Uh-oh, can you hear me? Let me.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome. Let me.
I can hear you now. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Hi, Leisha. So look, I have a
Hi,
computer of notes.
Cindy.
I have your book. I have everything.
Now I got my book, but I've written in so many versions that this is like the fresh.
Right.
It doesn't have any notes.
Okay.
So let
So
me see what I have down.
that one for me is on its way. So
Oh, oh, okay.
that one's in the mail.
This one, okay. This is the one I'd written in.
That was in the mail.
Hello.
Look at everyone.
I
So this
know
is
it's
new.
like
This whole even the way the live is set up now.
so I was gonna say my stuff finally switched. Like when you whatever you had and I didn't
Mhm.
have,
Mhm.
now it like updated and I have the same things.
Right.
So
Yay.
yeah, I don't live like ever. I like stories though. Sheree and I talk about like why I don't know why it's different in my mind for me to just chit chat on stories all the time. But the idea of going live is like, I want to
Ex-
go live. But
exactly.
it's the same
What's
thing.
happening? Right. It's like, sorry, my computer doesn't trust me. So I have everything hooked up here in the same place. It's like, what do you want? What do you want us to do? Okay, hopefully that lighting is better. Listen, let me know when you're ready to start because I have all the
Okay,
questions, all the things.
I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
Caneeka, Caneeka Miller. Um, I there's so many places I could begin. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me, jumpstart the conversations. It was a pleasure and an honor to be able to do an early read of your book. And I already told you how I felt, but I want everyone else to know what my immediate thoughts were, just so we can have a starting
Yes.
place. So I said, for me, your transparency in this book is a bridge to healing, self-reflection, growth, community, deeper love and appreciation of self and even our children. And that it's not just like a pick up, read it, walk away type of
Mm-hmm.
situation. It's definitely a revisit it, speak it often,
Mm-hmm.
just continue to cycle back to it. So, as much as I know personally, for those who join who may not know or who view this later, I want to know why poetry, for starters.
Um, well, I like the freedom that poetry gives me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Writing like the last book that I wrote just in chapter form was so strict for me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many boxes that you have to fit into, and I don't think in boxes. Um, even in like a lot of the stuff that I've written in the book, it can just speak to so many different things in one piece, And so
Yes.
that's how I see things, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how I feel the world. And so I need
No, I get,
I
yeah.
need the freedom,
Right.
to
Right.
express accordingly.
Of course. Of
Um,
course. Because for me
and
personally,
even
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, oh, I was gonna say, and even that, isn't a straight line type of thing.
Definitely. Definitely. as a creative, in whatever sense my brain and body tap into from
Mhm.
time to time, I mean, it very much, it resonates with me in a number of ways. So I know we're on both of our pages and how this, will go out to everyone, but I dance. So movement is how I
Yeah.
kind of express that freedom. I also, try to dabble in a little bit of poetry. Common Ground, Caneeka, do you remember those car rides?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was, I mean, that was huge. That was huge.
Yeah.
And so Common Ground, I'm all over the place, but it took place back at Bama, just like a spoken word, open mic type sort of thing, that we would do. And that helped bridge so many gaps for me in
Mhm.
expressing myself and being able to be vulnerable and to share.
Yeah.
Just woo. But anyway, Kanika is not new to this. She's true to this. So she's
And
been doing
I
it.
never like Common Ground was the first time that I'd seen people like read poetry out loud. I was like, why would you guys read these
Right.
things? Because
Right.
I mean poetry is just it's so sacred and very vulnerable. So
Yes.
I just could not figure out why people would choose to get up
Exactly.
in front of strangers
Right.
and share
And share
what they
these
had
things.
written in their journals, you know.
And,
But then I
and
started doing it and I was like, oh, now I
right.
see why you guys are doing
I get it.
it.
Right. Oh, I see. I see. I would leave like lighter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think, again, to cycle back to, reading this book, that's exactly what happened. And it's okay. So as much as I know, for me personally, motherhood, Black motherhood, because there's a there are things that we definitely
Yeah.
approach differently, that we're innately, you know, addressing with our children. I don't know if you saw it, but I just posted something about how we
Yes.
address racism even with our
Mm-hmm.
children. But for starters, I led wanting people, I don't care if they didn't read the whole post because it was long, girl, but I had to get it out.
It
But
was
for
good.
starters, we are conditioned by so many things to be this,
Mm-hmm.
do this, say this, don't say this, approach this like this, do this like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's in us from childhood into adulthood and now into motherhood. And anyway, I just sense it all, see it all, breathe through it all as I navigate the pages of your book.
Yeah.
I was going somewhere with the thought before Common Ground, but who knows where it was headed. I'm sure we'll get back to it. I don't
Yeah.
know. But let me ask you this then. Why this title for the book? And before you answer, I just want to say, for me personally, because I want to see what you're going to say, and I purposely waited to ask you some questions, and I know we've talked about so much, but um, for me, it's an affirmation of
Mm-hmm.
sorts. And for me, as I continue to journey through your book, there are moments that I'm like, that's a prayer, that's an
Mm-hmm.
affirmation, this will preach, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
but kind of in sum, what is this title, where does the title come from?
Well, Psalm 91.
Mm-hmm.
It specifically Psalm 91:14, which is I opened the book with that leading into the preface. And it and really, and I may mention this in the preface, I've read Psalm 91 so many times
Mm-hmm.
in my life and for so many different situations
Mm-hmm.
that I've recently started reading different versions of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read it, and what is the version that I have in here?
Oh, yeah, let me pull it.
Um, Amplified.
Mm-hmm.
So when I read it in the Amplified version and saw like I will set him securely on high, all I could think about was I'm I mean, there are so many layers to like one day we'll be in the high place, you
Yes.
know, like
Yes. Yes.
striving in these difficult seasons to see the high places.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times that so there are so many layers of times that I'd written pieces from when the boys were smaller, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm drowning in the low place. Will I ever get out
Right.
of this thing, you know? And then I have pieces that I wrote during the pandemic where it just felt like, oh baby, we ain't no high place. You know what
Right.
is the high
Right.
place?
exactly. Yeah. Are we going to find it again? Will we get there?
Like, what is going on? So, um, but it serves as like a message to me as like a place that's promised.
Mm-hmm.
That's what God promises to those, specifically in the verse, those who love him and set
Mm-hmm.
their hearts on him, a high place, to set them securely in a high place. And it's like
Yes.
this promise that we can go to, that yes, hard times will come, and difficult seasons will pass through them, and motherhood is going to knock us down a few times, but there's a promise of better days and
Yes.
community and
Mm-hmm.
love and graciousness, and to just set our eyes and our focus on that.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. No, that's it. And you can see it. I mean, it's definitely revealed throughout the pages of the book. But here's what I think is interesting. So you didn't sit down and write this, and say it's not a front to back, like I just said, here was my idea, here we go. This is a very personal,
mm-hmm.
example of exactly what it says,
Yeah,
in a high place, Black motherhood and a woman rising. Like, this
yeah.
is exactly what it is. Do you sense a continuation of this? Will we get, I know you're very much here right now. I know you're very much here. And I want you to be here. I want you to celebrate being here, because I
Yeah.
also know parts of, just getting to this place, and how that went for you. But have you thought about it at all? Has it been like, okay, well.
I haven't. Well, but you know what? I say I haven't, but in the process of editing, I added some new pieces to like the back,
Mm-hmm.
and then I couldn't stop, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'm gonna have to bookmark mine. I'm gonna have to
Right.
bookmark you, because this is about to be an anthology of poetry, and
We'll
that's not
take it
really
though.
what I was going for.
We will
So
take it.
I don't know if it will be in this theme of
Mm-hmm.
things,
Right.
because a lot of the stuff that kept coming to me was more like love and
Mm-hmm.
um, just relationships. So
Yes.
I don't know. I know that I have like more
Mm-hmm.
words in me,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it will. This was is its own, like, that I just didn't even expect for it to turn into what it turned into. And so
Right.
I'm just like, I love it so much.
And no, and I want, and I'm not saying any of this from a place of like, oh, I know this, you're my friend, but I have always admired and appreciated the space from which, you share, you write, you give,
Mm-hmm.
because there's also beauty in, and as much as things can be plainly spoken sometimes, right? I mean, we all don't speak the same way, even though we might speak the
Mm-hmm.
same language. Just for me and movement, we all have same or similar, like, technical movement vocabulary,
Yeah.
but my movement vocabulary as Sheree
Mm-hmm.
is very different from
Yeah.
this person's. And so I also wrote, your writing is fluid and vivid. My senses are awakened, and I'm left feeling like I'm not alone. This resonated with me deeply, and this will touch mothers in the most important ways. Because often I think, or I've experienced, we all know it doesn't come with a book. It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
you have conceived, here you go forth and conquer it. So, and as much as we have, motherhood and whatever, the praying
Mm-hmm.
mom, the this, the that, and all those different books, that in and of itself can sometimes be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's, what would you find, personally, to share with other moms, to seek out, to give, to do? Because I received
Right.
so many of those different things throughout my pregnancies, or my initial journey into motherhood. But this is something that I will be gifting, that I will share. And
Yeah.
listen, this ain't just to the Black mamas. I want
No.
everyone
No. Yeah.
to read this.
I
Um,
specifically for like putting Black motherhood in there, because I do address racism.
right.
And I do address Black Lives Matter
Mm-hmm.
and things that would be considered, I don't know where people
Right.
fall on that
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to get into it and be like, whoa,
Right.
oh, we're
Right.
talking about this. Oh, we're going there, you know.
Right.
So it's kind of like a forewarning, like, you know,
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
is very specific to these experiences and Black maternal health. Like, you know, it's
Hmm.
just these things that impact us in a way that don't impact other communities. And
Exactly.
so, you know, I have a piece in my dedication where I do dedicate it to mothers who consider themselves allies,
Hmm.
which, and so it's for them, you
Hmm.
know, but
Hmm.
you definitely there, I'm not, you know, keeping quiet about
And as we, I mean,
how I feel and, you know, in raising Black boys in this world. So,
and that part of it is important because until another part of, I think, what I just shared, until we can appreciate and, base level try to understand,
yeah.
there's no, there's not going to be any progress in whatever it is that we do.
Hmm.
So it's the matter of, these experiences are obviously for some very well like not your experiences, and you won't have to deal with this, be
Right.
acquainted with this feeling, this situation,
Right.
or whatever variety of situations. But for those who may be mothers who are teachers, or those who really want to
Hmm.
seek the resources, who have not yet or do not plan to conceive, who
Yeah.
may want to journey into XYZ, that is what we need to still be looking at, using as
Hmm.
resources, focusing on.
Yeah.
I've recently had a very real experience with our 4-year-old, in that very thing. Like, in some things, until you are right there in the thick of it, you do not either expect at that time to come, which, I mean, why now? What do I expect anymore? I don't even know why I'm
Hey,
still
right.
like, but like, toss it at me, toss it at me.
Yeah.
But the things that prompt me to say then, more, even more so than how do I help my children, how do we navigate through this, how do we do this, but how do I help those who are not going to have the voice, or don't
Right.
have, the willingness, the awareness, the preparedness to
Hmm.
go and to talk and to speak on these situations to make it better for whomever is coming up after them and through them. I think
Yeah.
the ways in which we discuss and share and have the platforms to do so now, as much as it can often be overwhelming, is also very influential and important in our in
Yes.
our society, because
Yeah.
this, I mean, I know what my mom had, but I definitely know what she didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Um, and I think this speaks to the place of growing out of those generational, like, I don't have to not say this.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
have to not feel this and sit in it to
Hmm.
actually feel it, to get through
Right.
it and not
Yeah.
bypass it, but to journey on beyond it. So
Hmm.
I listen, if you just popped on, you don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about Caneeka's book, like, in a high place. That's my Oprah segue. Um, but because you need it, you need to go get it. I'm going to link it in my bio as well. I know I was sending people over to your page, but I'm going to put a link in my bio for it as well as we go through. I know I could
Okay.
talk to you forever, so let me get back to my notes
I
though.
know.
So I
I was
I
gonna
picked
say to
go.
that to your last point
Mm-hmm.
about, like, you know, generations. It also, I recognize that things that we as like millennial moms experience growing as mothers in the age of social media is totally different than what our aunties and mamas
Yep.
and grandmothers experience. And so we're just combating different things, you
Yes.
know, and
Yes.
seeing things that we wouldn't otherwise see that adds to our
Listen.
journey as mothers. So it's like, why? I don't need these extra things because I already have
It's
stuff.
look at all this. And it's the good and the bad. It's not just like,
Right, right.
it's like, oh my gosh, how do I consciously parent? How do I not do
Mm-hmm.
this? Oh,
Yes.
conditionally I'm set up that, oh no, you will get that, boop boop. No, and then, this is over
Yeah.
here. And just as well, I mean, specifically, I think in our community, like, all these children are missing and we've heard nothing of it. Or this is happening, and but now we're aware of it. I think I find myself so overwhelmed sometimes by it all that I'm like, I want to help. I want to do something. I want to use my voice, my platform, my
Yeah.
whatever. And then I sit there and I go to the how. And this is
Yeah.
what happens. And there's so
Mhm.
many things, but I think the most important thing that I gain from that is just what I feel I experienced in your book. If I can
Yeah.
share this with one person, I'd be hesitant to say this or to speak up, knowing that this is my truth in the most, of course, you know, respectful way, in whatever way it's presented, and the
Right.
like, but also in a very honest way, because I'm also not going to, I'm
Right.
like that, the days of that are gone. And I think
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I think motherhood has increased my like
Like,
that.
look.
I don't have a word for what that look is,
No.
but nuck if you buck. I don't know. in in
Exactly.
all ways, like come at me, bro. Like
Yeah.
I am, like
Mhm.
I'm hardcore. Like I'm in this thing. Okay, so
Yeah.
the the three, no three, it's four. I'm thinking I try to at least pick things that speak to me from a
Mhm.
different place. Kingdom sisterhood, very important, very crucial. I'm not going to read anything because I don't want to give it away. You got to go
Oh
get it.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
but let me say this: I put motherhood is as much a communal journey as it is a personal one. We know it's a very personal thing to each and every one of us, but the communal sense of things is what I found, especially right now in this season, is helping me through.
Yes.
And it's that same idea of your village, your tribe, your people. But you speak to this like so clearly, so eloquently in this specific poem. But I think it's sharing beyond the surface and allowing yourself to be vulnerable in order to receive support and even encourage others while fostering kingdom living.
Mhm.
And essentially, like, I mean, what he got us down here for, what we do, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes I think we skip over, like, we're out here fighting
Yeah.
ourselves when it's God's just like, I just,
That's not how this is supposed to go.
right. This is what I want from you. And I want to know for you, how long maybe did it take for you to get to a place of, you know, for one, you still have to be comfortable and trust, you know, those people around you, but to say, hey, here's my truth. Here's where I am. I am in shambles right now because my kids won't poop. I'm in shambles right now
Yeah.
because they did poop. And our last conversation, and it was, you
Yeah.
know, but you know, I know personally, a tribe is not necessarily just all these people in this one group or one space either.
Mhm.
I trust that if any day I pick up the phone or I call you and I say, Caneeka, listen, we might not parent the exact same. I know, but I mean, you know, I know well enough that I trust you and what you do and how you approach these things with
Yeah.
these children. This is what I'm experiencing. That could be what's your opinion on it, or I just need you to listen
Mhm.
to me because I need to release this before I let it consume me. But for you, kingdom sisterhood and some, like, you know, is what?
Um, like you said, community.
Mm-hmm.
I That will be the motherhood hill that I die on because um especially living like we don't have family that is in the same town and
Mm-hmm.
um our parents and grandparents they grew up having siblings
Right.
and family members nearby,
Yep.
and so I immediately discovered, oh no, I can't I can't do this
Right.
by myself.
Right. Right.
Because I wasn't raised that way. Even growing up with like my mom in the military, she always found, no matter where we moved, she would
Mm-hmm.
find family members and
Mm-hmm.
people who she could be in community with to
Mm-hmm.
help her with her kids,
Right.
me and my sister. And so
Exactly.
we have always had a community of people, and so it just felt odd stepping into motherhood and not having that just
Right.
outright, like already
Right.
built in. And so then
Exactly.
it's like,
Right.
how do you make friends as an
Right.
adult? Like,
You what?
like there's this it's like a tweet meme that says like nobody said that one day all my friends from college would be scattered all over the place. It's like we never imagined why aren't we together? We're supposed to be together.
Why did we not buy a community? Why?
Yes,
What? Why
we
did
should have gotten our own community out
you?
of college. Then we wouldn't have to deal with this. But yes, it's like that realization. Like I have people,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not here, and so now I have to like make friends all over
Right.
again
Right.
with
Right.
kids, and so it's like there's just more to like making friends as a mom than just
Exactly.
like, oh girl, you I like those shoes. I like your shoes. Look,
Right.
like
So
do you
many.
have
Yeah.
good integrity and like morals, and you know what I mean? And so then it's just like I don't feel like going through that. So it's just easier to isolate. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
then it turns into like this cycle. And so
Mm-hmm.
um often thinking about like that God put us here to be connected,
Mm-hmm.
um and that we're not meant to do life alone.
Yes.
And it's how society is set up is like constructed to make us isolate
Right.
or believe that we need to.
Exactly.
And so while this, while it feels like this crazy vision,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
being in community with people, I have like gained so many mothers
Right.
um in the time that I've been a mother who are
Mm-hmm.
just like I couldn't imagine life without them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, from a place where I just never thought that I would meet
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
who shared all of these things that I shared.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
it's possible, but
It is.
yeah, we have to believe
Mhm.
and really see it, like see it
Yes.
happening for
Yes.
other people.
Exactly. Exactly. But that, and I still feel like within it, but even aside from this particular poem, that really, I mean, you share that throughout, and you see the common themes that you can like kind of pull away from it. And then there's also, I think, everyone may pull something different from it because
Hmm.
this is a depending on what season you're in,
Right, right.
depending on what kind of day you're having
Yeah.
that day, like um it's a very like take it as you will, you know what I'm saying, like go
Hmm.
take it in stride, but again, very important, so it's not something, I think I tried personally, like I can run from this as long as long as I could till it's like, no, I need this. My
Yeah.
children need this. They
Right.
need for their
Ex-
mother to have this, to
exactly.
be the best mother that I can for them. So sometimes, in as much as those connections you think are solely for your children, like
Hmm.
it's you as the mother, the
Yeah.
parent, the whomever that kind of needs that.
Because those become the spaces that you can, I know I mentioned vulnerability, where
Hmm.
you need those spaces where you can be vulnerable and share your story and your truth with people who, will probably respond like, oh, yeah, girl.
Exactly.
I have been there, or I'm there, or you know what I mean? And so then it's
Hmm.
like, again, like breaking out of this isolation,
Hmm.
and not just necessarily with motherhood, because like even if you don't have kids or you desire kids, like just having those spaces with
Yes.
people that you can share your truth with,
Hmm.
is just so important,
It
especially
is.
now, especially during a pandemic where we are just isolated to save our lives. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you don't isolate, then, this thing could
Yes.
happen. And so
Yes.
it has made it just even harder,
Mhm. Mhm.
to have those communities or those
Mhm.
spaces.
Mhm.
Um, so,
Yes. Oh goodness. I mean, around because I could literally go on forever, and
I know.
you know it to be true. Look, listen. We will. Kanika and I can get on the phone, you guys, and it'll be. Oh, this is what I need to, call and
Yeah.
chat with you about, and it end up like I don't know, but
Yes.
it's listen, all worth
I'm
it.
glad
Like
you
what?
have notes because, yeah, like,
I we
like what
hopefully
were
maybe
we?
right.
What?
What happened? What were we talking about? Okay, I'll be back at like, 2007 here in a second. Who would have ever thought? Look at us. Look at us now. Okay.
Right?
Okay, overflow, because that's what I feel. That's what I want to sense. That's where I want to
Yes.
be. Okay, so I'm real all about like the affirmations right now. I have to, I have to talk. I'm speaking to myself. I have to wake up, go. Sheree, you can do this. But
Yes.
overflow. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that even feeling like the title of your book and how I would say it and how I would address it. I'm like, I'm affirming that this is true. I'm where I am in
Mhm.
Motherhood Rising. This is not,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not going to be tomorrow where I was yesterday, regardless of the circumstances. What did I learn from it? How did I grow? But overflow for me, like I said, affirmation that I speak often is on repeat in this season of my life for sure. And throughout her book, you will go from a poem that could be 5 lines, but it's going to be 5 lines that hit you right in the chest. Or you
It's
can
the
go
little one.
to a page long poem and really like, and it's not even, it's almost like, I don't know, I go into this trance. Like, I don't know if I can hear your voice or what happens, but I'm like
Mhm.
hearing Caneeka, but it's like on the waves, like in peace. It could be
Mhm.
a time detailing a very, very rocky moment, but I feel like just really like owning whatever place it, wherever it kind of resides in your being. Because again, someone else's experience is not going to be necessarily your
Yeah.
exact situation experience, but still being able to dissect from there how to heal, how to grow, how
Yeah.
to address certain things is really important. And then the parenting philosophy. Listen, if you don't take
Ooh.
anything else away from this, um, like I said before, I know we don't all parent the same because we're not the same people. But even as a parent, you don't even specifically prepare your children the same because they're not the same. They're not the
Mhm.
same person. Um, Respecting that, and like you said, just respecting them as humans.
Yeah.
Getting to, understand, for you and how and what that's like. And these children aren't just here. I'm gonna tell you what to do. I'm gonna tell you how to live. Tell you whatever. But you have emotions.
Yeah.
You have thoughts. And
And
I
it is
think,
like I don't and this was something that that I thought about as a kid. I've
uh
been
huh.
carrying this
Like it's
philosophy. Like,
I held
why
on
do
to.
y'all act like I'm not a person?
It's like, are you
It's
a
just,
human?
I'm just, I've never understood, like, and that's when I'm like, you're just not,
Right,
your typical kid, but I just never understood why it was like, no, you're gonna do this, and you should
right,
feel this way, and oh, that hurt you? Well, it shouldn't, and it's like, but it did, and I'm like a very tender-hearted person, and so I was always crying. And people
right.
are like, "Why are you
Why?
crying? You
What's
don't need to
funny?
be crying." I'm like,
Right,
"Because that's what I do. Is that
right,
okay?
right.
Can I be a crier?
Yeah.
Or
Can I have it?
that's my humanity. That's who I
Right.
am." So when I had kids, it was like number one, like
Mm-hmm.
if I don't do anything else, I want them to like be who they are. And
Yes. Yeah.
me and my husband can only contribute. We contributed so much, but they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be their own beings, and
Exactly.
I want them to see themselves in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, it should encourage other people to see them that way.
Listen. And then how about we pass that down? Like, then they
Yes,
will
yes,
see
then
their
that will
children.
be the thing that like it won't even be a philosophy that they had to come up with. It would just be
Yes.
the thing that they
Yes.
pass down as like, what
Exactly.
else would I do? How else would
Right.
I
Why would I
honor and love
not?
my kids?
Right. Why
Right.
would I not? I mean, it will
Yeah.
be that. It will be that. But I thought about it often. I say it often. Like I said recently, Grayson had a bad day. Um, he didn't want to go to school, and I felt, I remember the days. I don't know if you did this before motherhood, but you prejudge a situation. My kid will not be the one crying on the airplane. My kid will not be
Yes.
on an iPad. My kid will not be, you ain't had no kid yet, have you?
Exactly. Listen,
But
I said that my kids wouldn't be the kids in the strollers, you know, like the really big kids in the strollers. And let me tell you, the minute I got a double stroller and the times that I have ran through parking lots chasing after, especially two of them, when the both of them was like
oh
my
yeah,
powers combined, they would
oh yeah,
like run out into parking lots. Like cars aren't coming. And so I'm
right,
running in like heels and wedges and
mm-hmm.
non-stable shoes after these kids. And I
Right.
was like, you're gonna be, you know what? I judge people who put they like teenagers in strollers, but
But get in this
y'all gonna
stroller.
be in strollers for
Get
a
in the
good
stroller.
bit
Get
until
in the
you can
stroller.
understand that a car can like you can't just run into parking lots.
That
What are
could,
you doing?
yeah, that could be.
Yeah, you don't know.
Listen,
You don't
no lie, I
know.
think I just stopped. Have I even stopped? I'm staring at the double stroller now. Like,
Oh,
gentleman of the, he's, wow, that was big for that double stroller. Indeed he is, but he will
legs
not walk.
dangling. Worry about you,
We're not
okay?
just,
You're not running to these parking lot
right,
in heels. Like, I gotta change my
right,
shoes out. Like,
right. No, girl, we're like, listen, I don't know, but we're going to make it work for us over here. Thank you. Whatever you choose,
exactly,
you go for
exactly.
it. You go for it. But seeing it and now just acknowledging those moments, I'm like, well, just stop and giggle. Well, just stop and share. But
Yeah,
also the well being like, hey, well, duh, you're allowed to have a bad day. You're a human. You may not be able to articulate it as well as I
right.
can, but I've lived like way longer than you,
Yeah,
but that's not to say you don't feel it. And because I don't,
yeah,
hear you say that to me, does not mean like, hey, I can sense. If I, you pay attention and you get to know that, like,
mm-hmm.
this is not the jive. And you do
Right,
it in a way as such, it's like, you're not getting over on me now.
right.
Here you go.
Yeah,
But I acknowledge your feelings because that is what I want them to take and to carry into adulthood. Um,
yeah.
so that their rising is one of
Mm-hmm.
sorts, where not that they won't have the moments where it's like, mommy used to man, because those will happen as well, but
Yeah,
where it's also like, I'm so glad my mom allowed me to express my
right.
emotions,
Yeah.
and to be who I am as an individual, because I am not her, I'm not dad, I'm not grandma,
Right.
granddaddy, uncle, cousin, sister, brother, I'm
Mm-hmm.
who I am. So that just speaks to me in a way. Parenting philosophy is like base level. It should
Yeah.
just be that you have little humans. They're human.
the it's the foundation.
They're
Like this
humans.
the bare minimum, you
Yeah, they're
know.
human. I don't know. Okay. Last one I had, which is not the last by far, but I know I spoke to things being like affirmations, like preaching to
Mm-hmm.
me, helping me through all that. But before I wake, to me is like a prayer. Especially for me in my anxious moments.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it because it's tough. And it's tough to wake up and immediately be anxious and immediately
Mm-hmm.
be in a sort of panic about what the day will bring that you haven't even experienced. And so I sometimes speak aloud about, dealing with anxiety, but it's a very much so a real thing. And I know you've mentioned various things, but experiencing it in motherhood has been a different experience than before I even ever
Yeah.
thought I would be a wife, let alone a mother.
Right. Right.
And that is something that I revisit and I say and I speak, to calm, for the comfort. And again, knowing, you're not alone in this, but I
Mm-hmm.
have to be okay first
Yeah.
to make sure,
Before you, right.
yeah, all these other people are okay. And I think that helps in that as well, to know you're not the only mother who's experienced this. You're not the only
Mm-hmm.
one who is, going to ever experience it or going through this. And it's okay to say that it's happening. It's okay. And you
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
feel what's happening and take it in before you just proceed and brush it aside. And that's another thing that just in totality, the book has really just continued to help me with, is just like, you don't have to kind of acknowledge and like glaze by it and move on and like
Mm-hmm.
go by like, oh, it didn't happen or nothing,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's not saying everyone should just go spill their every personal detail of life and however, but I really appreciate the ways in which you have shared the nitty gritty and, you know, presented it to us. Because sometimes it's like, how can something so seemingly, it could be sad or hurtful or something that I've struggled with so much. I look back on it, or you look at it, it's like, but that's beautiful because it's brought me out of that to where I
Yeah.
am now.
Yeah.
What is so have you sat down and like, I don't know if people like go front to back, everybody has their own approach. Like, how am I going to
Yeah.
come through, especially a book of poetry? But even in after your writing, going back through things, do you sit and go, wow? Like, what are your emotions, your thoughts about specific poems or the whole book, the whole thing? Like,
Yeah.
what does that bring up for you?
So, so many of these I wrote, and they are like journal entries. So the essay section were like journals. So I wrote those never to revisit. And that's pretty much my writing approach. I just write and then I never read it again. So when I was pulling everything together and trying to figure out like structure, where I wanted what piece to go where, it was just like, I'm not releasing the book. It's too much because it was some of like a lot of them, like the first time I was reading things for like it had been a while, and the other things, it was like stuff that I'd buried and suppressed, and but it was like rising, and so I had to have like this breakthrough before I could even let it out.
Right.
And so that was its own
Right.
process of like,
Right.
Okay, so we're doing this, and we're doing it in a mighty way.
Yes.
But it was hard. The pieces about grief and only to realize that I haven't stopped grieving. Oh, wait, I was not expecting this. And so I cried. Like, I cried through just organizing, and once everything was finalized and just sitting down and reading it all the way. That's why I was like, how we don't get into anything specific, because I tried to like keep it calm. But yeah, like reading in front, I wanted the theme of affirming and having those affirmations kind of like kick off each piece was intentional, because those were things that I had to say and still like say to myself and go back to, and like, oh, remember when you said this? When I'm just like, I can't do this, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, oh, there's a poem for that to encourage you on this day. But, yeah, it was hard. Which is why I'm just like, I know, in seeing so many conversations happening around the topics of it. So it just feels like a right now moment type of release, like speaking to the times of things that people are experiencing in this moment. So that is encouraging, that like God has aligned the time, and because this has been a very long, I mean, I remember years ago I was at somebody's wedding, like, yeah, one day I'm gonna release a motherhood book about poetry. They're like, we can't wait. I'm like, who knows when it, but you know what I'm saying? But I've been talking about wanting to do this, but this is not what the end product is, not what it initially started as in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything is intentionally placed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know like people skip around and they
Mm-hmm.
have their own process, but it is um each piece is placed
Yeah, the flow
in
is just. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like
Hmm. Yeah.
like I wrote
No.
them all down. I read through each
Right.
thing and like decided
Right.
where I wanted
Mm-hmm.
them to go for the themes that of each section. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. It's a lasting sort of thing. Like I know your admiration for Tony Moore. Like all the I'm not gonna even begin to
Yeah.
start. My
Oof.
angel, everyone. But I'm not gonna
Yes.
start. But just as I think of those, like it's just a very I mean it's timeless because I mean it's real life.
Yeah.
It's not just so everyone understands, it's not a forced thing or like I sat down and said, let me write a
Yeah.
poem about this or about, but very lived experiences
Yeah.
that because they are such the same as those authors, that's why right now those still are
Yeah.
very very we can be sensitive to those things too and understand and feel and appreciate those things as well. Is I don't know,
I was
it's
also thinking about when you were saying like sit and like marinate. Yeah, it's not a they're not it's a sit and
mhm,
marinate and reflect on, yeah, this is tough, but let me read this and,
exactly.
encourage myself and
Mhm,
finding those places to
mhm,
encourage yourself.
mhm.
Um, and or just not be so quick to rush out of whatever the thing is.
Listen,
And that is like the greatest lesson
it,
that being a mother
woo,
has taught me is
woo.
that you can't rush even your kids reflecting like things to you that you thought that you may have healed from,
Mhm.
realizing that you need to work through those things and
Yes,
work
yes,
on your healing. You
yes,
have to sit with that
right.
and like admit whatever that truth is for you to
Mhm.
help you grow, woman
Yes.
rising, like become the woman that you are evolving
Yes.
into.
Mhm.
So yeah, like eat it's very much so like a marinate on this.
Yeah, no,
And
right. Yeah,
you
don't
know,
let the listen, don't let don't let those moments pass you by. This because this can be a takeaway, like let me go talk to a friend, let me go
yeah.
talk to my spouse, let me go talk to my therapist, like
Yeah.
somebody because
Yeah.
and when you're able to stop and recognize that, like even if you don't the first time, even if the first time you do try to walk away, glaze over it,
Mhm.
however, you walk by this book on your nightstand or your coffee table, you're gonna go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to
Yeah.
then pick it up and say, okay, maybe I won't go back to that, I'm going to something else. I bet you'll go
Right.
back to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I bet you'll
Yeah.
cycle back to it. I think it's important, as
Mhm.
much as I said earlier, like you're not given here's a book on how to, go through or
Right.
experience or deal with XYZ. Would you say there's a time in motherhood that you suggest passing this along to someone? Is it even
Um,
a like you're considering whatever, here you go? Like, but for you personally, what do you think?
yeah, I think if you are connected to a mother,
Mm-hmm.
if you have just become a mother,
Mm-hmm.
um, because there's, you know, a voice to just rediscovering if you've lost
Mm-hmm.
like a child or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
experienced a miscarriage, like those, I think in any type of connection, especially for like we were talking about, being supportive and
Mm-hmm.
having that community. I think a lot of people, even those who don't have children, they
Mm-hmm.
think that motherhood, like, oh, you got it. And oftentimes we lose friends when we become mothers
Yeah.
because people feel like, oh, well, you have a baby now. And so
Right.
I don't really know how this friendship thing is going to work. And
Right.
it's so hard to navigate. Like,
Yes.
no, don't leave me now.
Right.
Like,
Not
or
right. Right.
don't, feel
Right.
like that this is a complicated situation. Like,
Right.
we need you in this time the
That's
most.
good.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
I think those who are connected, like every person who has come in contact, especially with the things that, like, I'm talking about, things in motherhood that people don't often talk about, that there is this picture that everything is, whatever. And it's like, yes, I'm grateful for that, but
Mm-hmm.
also, I'm struggling.
This is
Like,
hard. Right.
yeah, like it's
And
hard,
yeah.
and I miss my life before this, and nobody wants to say that at all, but it's
It's
like, how do you navigate that? And
right.
now my people have left me, and so what do we do now?
Yeah. That and people think it's taboo, and it's just like
Yeah,
a societal thing. Like we made it that way, or like it should all be roses and sunshine, and it's easy, or you think what you saw your grandmother do was easy, or you came out on this
yeah,
end. But until if or when we have those
mhm,
conversations, and I know in the Black community sometimes those are tough,
yeah,
because the trauma that our parents possibly, so my parents are in their 60s, so the
mhm,
trauma is,
yeah,
there's some real stuff
yeah,
there, like those things that they possibly they buried or put away, or anything of the like. Is just like, oh, am I supposed to not, or it's
right,
supposed to be easy? Like even in
yeah,
conversation with them, I'm inclined, like, please believe my mama getting this book, not because
yeah,
she's not a beautiful mother, because she is amazing,
yeah,
but because I want to still, while I'm able, have conversations with her, be able to
yeah,
understand, and in hopes that if there are places for her that haven't healed, like
right, right,
why would we not, or why should we not, even if that's not something that she or anyone else, whether it's that or friends now, whomever, would consciously say.
yeah,
There are moments that within that you can't deny, even in your private space, your private time, your talk with God, your talk with
yeah,
whomever or not. Like those are moments that I think are definitely to be had and appreciated, and that this can be, a conduit to
right,
those
yeah,
revelations and those healing places. And like you said, am I still grieving? Like sometimes, like, am I still grieving my past self? Like,
right, right,
because some things that like, oh, that's fine, because you're so excited for this new
mhm,
life
yeah,
that if you're blessed to safely bring them here, that you're
mhm,
experiencing, all those things. And to say, I think in those moments, be like, I'm blessed, but like, this is, oh,
yeah.
but
But then
Jackie
it's
Hill
like, am
Perry
I being
today in the
ungrateful?
podcast
Oh,
was like, I'm the only one. Y'all don't want to leave y'all kids over there. Like y'all want to run away from, like that. Those things are real, and it's not
yeah,
like you're not a bad parent for saying it or
yeah.
feeling. Look, my thing is, if you suppress some of those things, that's when it gets
Then
tough.
you win. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I'm not saying that we don't sometimes have those moments, but I feel like I've definitely learned, experienced, definitely talked to you about it. We've shared, like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
you'll drive yourself up a wall if you don't.
yeah.
So yeah, if it's
And I was gonna say, like, when you were talking about, your mom and like the previous generations,
mhm,
I think they came from a time where it's like, you you are only the blessing. You
mhm,
never speak negative. And that
yep,
was hard for me as like a believer, like, God, I'm thankful, but
mhm,
also I'm struggling.
yes,
But you know that I'm struggling,
yes,
and to lean into you, but
mhm,
I'm still, you know what I mean? And so it's
yes,
like, what's wrong with me? Like,
uh,
is this going on my heavenly record? Because
right,
I want it to be documented that
right,
you gave me something and I was ungrateful. But Lord, this is hard, and
yes,
I don't feel an out. You know
right,
what I mean?
right, right,
Um, and that's hard to admit to
yes,
older generations. Like,
oh
girl,
yeah,
you ain't saying nothing. Like,
right, Right. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
no.
Even in this moment, like you speaking that,
Yeah.
and it's almost whether, anyone wants to say it aloud or not, or it's like who, I had to really, till I get to a place and stop to be like, wait, they don't have whomever in the outside world, whether I know you or not, you're behind a computer screen, wherever, you are not the parent to my children. You are
Yeah.
not the, me to do to this, to however. I felt that exactly what you just said about my anxiety. I'm like, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Or because I'm a believer, was like, if I say this out loud, does this mean I don't, like,
Right.
my faith is,
Right.
is gone? Like, no. And I'm like, that's not what I mean. In battling that place,
Yes.
just like, God has not put
It's
me
its
here to lead.
own.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
that's oh so true. Oh so true.
Yeah.
I know there's still people around and they may want to say, hey, listen, you shouldn't have maybe had me on here first. I should probably stop. Um, because
No,
I'm not,
this is
and
exciting.
this is so exciting to me because I know every person you probably have lined up to talk to, it will go in a different direction. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it, and I appreciate that as well
Yeah.
because I'm able to, go about it this way, however other people may approach it, and just able to share the full span of what this is and the magnitude of what it
Yeah.
is. C was not gonna cry. I'm proud of you, and I
Wait
appreciate
a
you.
minute.
No.
Thank you. Wait. See, I was like, I'm ready. I'm not gonna
I'm
catch
gonna take this whole. I'm gonna take this whole sheet, right. Um, but no, but seriously and genuinely, because it's not until we see that, we have that in representations, of a beautiful Black woman like yourself, with your family, who is sharing this is raw and real,
it. Hmm.
and still it's yet so beautiful, but the healing piece and
Yeah.
love shown, and I don't know, and those boys. Okay, my last thing. And so this is interesting to me because Train Code can read. All right. So
We
how
have
is
been trying to dive into this book, and I'm like, no.
yeah. So yeah, what
They
is that for you? What is that for you?
Cole, I think it was yesterday, he opened it up and saw the scripture in the beginning. He's
Hmm.
like, oh, all right, this is about the Bible?
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Right.
Hebrew 12. Okay, wait, I think I've read this before. Okay. Well, I'm going to close that
Well,
one
okay,
real
right.
quick. Yeah, because it is not for children. I keep saying that. I'm like, like, this is not for
Right.
your kids.
Right.
Don't leave it by your bedside. If they
Right.
get too deep in here, they be like, what?
Right. Right. Like, wait a minute. But I
um,
mean,
but
it's beautiful.
but even with that, it's absolutely dedicated to them.
Exactly.
Like they were the inspiration. I mean,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have had these revelations about just honoring mothers who stay home and
Hmm.
women who are like had difficult pregnancies or
Hmm.
went through miscarriage or stillbirths
Yes.
or any of that.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have had that insight. I wouldn't have had the desire to be a postpartum doula. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that came after having going through the like after effects of a
Hmm.
miscarriage and then having Cole
Hmm.
and people were just like, "Oh, you're mom of two now. You got it. Bye." I'm like,
Right.
"No. No, no, no. Wait.
Right.
I truly
Right.
don't feel like I'm in a space
Right.
to do this. Like
Hmm.
I need more support."
Yes. Yes.
And at the time it wasn't like, "Oh, I want to be a postpartum doula." I was just
Hmm.
like, I want to support moms after they
Yes.
have kids, you know? And then I
Hmm.
learned that, oh, that's called this. And
Yes.
so much of my heart and passion behind just motherhood comes from them, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, so also in writing this, I thought about, what would if they were to try to like describe my mother one day, what would I
Hmm.
want them how would I want them to see me?
Yeah. Yeah.
If it was like I can't pinpoint a specific memory. So a lot of these pieces, I wanted them to have like, this is the totality of a womanhood and
Yes.
not whatever front I could have possibly been showing you at home.
Right.
Like, no, my
Right.
therapist had mentioned to me, I told her that I don't like, I had like during this whole pandemic, I was like
Mm-hmm.
having a lot of anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never, like, I was working so hard in the midst of that to
Right.
try not to let the boys see me cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want them to see me break down. And she was just
Mm-hmm.
like, why not? And I was like, because then they would break down. Because, and she's like, well, what's wrong with them breaking down? I'm like, because someone has to have it together.
Right.
Like, you
Right. Right.
know, I'm
Right.
like, if I don't have it together, then
What?
what does that mean? She's like,
Yeah.
then it's not together.
If you,
And
yeah.
that that was hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
We just had to marinate on that because I was
Right.
just like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
it cannot be together. And
Right.
she's like, and they'll be fine
Right.
because
Everyone.
they will know that mothers and women
Mm-hmm.
are have tough moments and they cry and they get overwhelmed, and then they'll see a totality of
Mm-hmm.
like a woman and not this whatever this thing is that
Exactly.
you've been showing them. And I was like,
I know.
oh
Right.
no.
You're like, wait.
I thought I was doing them, but yeah, that makes sense. If they had
Mm-hmm.
never, then that would just lead them into relationships
Yeah.
with other women and dynamics with other women, whether like interpersonal or like intimate, where they just think like, oh girl,
Right.
why
What are
you
you
wilding
doing?
out?
Right. Right. Oh, you so
My mama
emotional. Right.
never
Why are you so
acted like
sensitive?
that. Like,
Yeah.
meanwhile, I'm in the nearest closet, like, you know,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
all my life together. And so I didn't want to like have a book where it's like rainbows and butterflies. I want
Yes.
them to like, if this were to be the book that they're like, this is her
Mm-hmm.
legacy and this
Right.
is, you know, a reflection of womanhood,
Mm-hmm.
then I want it to be about my struggles and
Oh.
grief and
Mm.
healing and
Yes.
rediscovering myself in so many different seasons so
Mm-hmm.
that they can, you know, be like, okay, yeah. Um, but
Yes.
that, yeah, that whole also conversation while
Mm-hmm.
writing this book, it was like, it was its own journey
Right.
of
Right.
sitting with that
Yeah.
myself
Mm-hmm.
and really thinking about that impact, how, but when I found out I tested positive for COVID,
Mm-hmm.
it was, I was too built up with
Mm-hmm.
just everything to try to
Yeah.
hide that. And so I had like outbursts,
Mm-hmm.
breakdown, and
Mm-hmm.
they were just like standing in the doorway crying. And I
Mm-hmm.
think up until that point, how I have been acting this entire pandemic of like, we got to keep each other safe and think about other people in the
Yes.
community and all of
Yes.
this. It was just like, we're in our bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So surely it could not penetrate our bubble.
Right.
So when it penetrated the bubble, they were like, you,
Right. No,
girl,
like
you
we,
been out here
where are you sneaking out
holding us
to? Right.
hostage. How the
Right.
hell did you get
Right.
on here?
Right. Right.
What does this mean for us? And they
Right.
were shook. They were
Yeah.
like, what? But seeing me have the emotion of like
Mm-hmm.
pain, like I worked so hard to
Yes.
protect us, but
Mm-hmm.
even I can't protect it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And that was part of my anger. And
Uh,
then,
mm-hmm.
like, also, you know, them realizing, like, I mean, this chick is bad, but she ain't that,
But
she
she, you know,
ain't that bad. And
oh,
recognizing that, like,
mm,
wow, mommy hurts and
yeah.
she's really broken up about this. And they
Yeah.
cried. They were just like, probably more hurt that I was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then their next question was like, how did this happen to you? Like, they just Like they're
Oh,
not, you know,
right,
but
right.
that was probably like the best thing to
Mm-hmm.
happen in this
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Because it forced me to be vulnerable in a way that I was working very hard
Not right,
not to be.
right, right.
And thought it could have been avoidable, but
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, like now I don't know. I feel like they just see me as, back to our talk earlier about
Mm-hmm.
humanity, see
Mm-hmm.
me as,
She's a human, right?
human. Like, oh, she has emotion, and it's not just like you got to do your work and da 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 da. Like, because most of my
Yeah.
day
Uh,
is like, let's keep
exactly.
everything, and to see me as like helpless,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
real, right?
over
That,
something that
right?
I thought I could control
Yeah.
and
And then
couldn't.
all that is a lesson for us, for them, and
Yeah.
like just
So now I just burst into tears randomly.
right. They're like, oh, she's
They were
just
like,
crying, and
Molly,
she's
what's wrong? Yeah.
no. Are you okay?
They're
Right,
like, why are you crying? Oh, okay. Commercial.
right.
All right. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think about that
Mm-hmm.
often, and especially in this time, how many of us are like trying to be the referees of our emotions in front of
Mm-hmm.
our kids,
Yeah.
and how detrimental that can be to how
Listen.
they see us
Mm-hmm.
as humans,
Right.
um, and our capabilities. Like,
Yes.
oh, she's good. She's not crying because she
Mm-hmm.
has it together,
Right. Right.
which in turn becomes the thing that we think and tell ourselves
It's
that strive for perfection.
it,
Like,
and the
we
cycle
can handle it.
continues.
And then it's like
Yeah.
this. So now
Listen.
we're boxed in on like
Mm-hmm.
our identity of
Right.
how we see ourselves. Like, no, we gotta
Right.
hold it in and keep it together. So our kids see that,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't really feel that way because we're in
Listen.
bathrooms and closets like
Listen.
like
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Listen. Listen. No, that's good because look, I definitely me catch me in the cloud. They know now. They found it. They know that's where I go. Oh, she's just had. Oh, she's. But boundaries come from that
Yes.
respecting boundaries
Yeah.
or understanding and appreciating emotions, but also teaching them to have them how to navigate through them.
Yeah.
Because again, if we're not, we're all the same. It's like, how do we look at people? We praise, we look at, we're like, oh, yes, like people like Eartha Kitt, who was going to say exactly what she
Yeah.
needed to say, exactly what she wanted to
Yeah.
say. And it's like, yes, speak, speak on it. But it's just like, we could all, and I mean, not
Mhm.
saying you ever have to be brash or this or that or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever, but we have stifled that place in us, this like, well, no, you're less than if you do
Right.
this, or you're not going
Yeah.
to whatever, you're going to scar your children if they
Mhm.
see you crying, or if they see you.
Yeah.
Listen, Dustin and I won't go. I mean, obviously there are things you go back and forth with your kids, but they
Mhm.
will see us not agree, and we do that on
Yeah.
purpose. You need to
Yeah.
know, because you need
Yeah.
to know how we're going to work out that conflict. How you need
Right.
to know how mommy and daddy are going to resolve whatever that
Mhm.
is. So that way, when you and your brothers are going
Right.
through whatever, you can also think about, oh, hey, you know, they see you, they
Yeah.
learn, just like they're watching you open a jar, open whatever, they're
Yeah.
hearing, they feel
Mhm.
whatever energy you're
Right.
giving, negative, positive, good, happy, whatever. But that, listen, like the good people say, that'll preach, sis, because it's
Yeah.
true. Just like we talked about treating them as humans, come back, cycle, full
Mhm.
circle.
Yeah.
Also, guess what? Mommy's a
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
you know?
Now they don't
Like,
think, they're like, you are robotic. You're
mhm.
not.
Right, right. And I mean, I think that's
But
what we felt, but that's what we're living off of, is that understanding. If my mom felt like I can't even drink out of the same water fountain, or I have to go in here and
mhm.
be P's and Q's, and
Right,
however, I
right.
can't show if I'm upset because I'm going to be
Yeah.
deemed,
Right.
whatever. It's going
Yeah.
to reflect illy on me or on my parents or blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not going, don't go nuck if you buck, son. But
Right.
like,
Right.
you're allowed to have feelings and emotions. I think it's
Yeah.
just the point where we go out with those into society and how they handle it, especially as
Right.
Black women, Black mothers
Yeah.
raising Black children. Like,
Yeah.
those are then the obstacles and the things we face. That's your next thing. I'm here as your cheerleader and your referee.
Oh, you'll be the co-author
I will
now.
type.
This will be a collaborative
I will
effort.
type while you speak. You know, but no, like, I appreciate this. Better save this live. Better save. I know that.
Yes,
Like,
I know.
but truly, this was. I mean, it was great, and I honestly, I
Yeah.
know I don't want to keep you all night because I will keep talking, but I want this people to keep watching, to keep listening, to share,
Mm-hmm.
ask questions, talk to your friends about it, like whatever the case may be, because until we continue to keep the conversation going,
Yeah.
if and when we don't keep the conversation going, is where we, you just land or stay stagnant, like right
Yeah.
where you are. So thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
I
don't know if
truly appreciate you.
I'll listen. It's an honor and a pleasure. So I'm here. I'm gonna be all up in the lives in the comment. No, I'm not. I'm trying not to like kick her out of here. Turn her internet off. But I will definitely, I will definitely be there. Is there anything? I don't know. Is there anything else you want people to know
Oh,
besides go get the book? It's
go
Amazon.
get
Did you type it in
it.
here?
No,
Put it
I
in
just
there so
said,
people can have it. I don't know what I've done. Let me.
does anyone have any questions
Yeah, there's a question.
or comments? I saw
Yeah,
some hearts and some
right.
yes,
I'm trying to go
same,
through and
agree.
listen.
I felt that.
Alicia had said, she said early on, I'm already crying.
I know. We just started talking.
Oh, hello, hearts. Oh, that's so good. You have hellos. We love you. Why am I posting?
The
I don't
book
even
is
know what I'm.
on Amazon. Um,
Thank you,
I don't know how to
Kamisha.
get a
There it
link.
is.
Hi, thanks.
Pin it, sis, so it'll stay there. Maybe when other people come back to replay
How
the
does this
live.
work? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, we
Yay.
could have pinned that up.
I'm I'm sorry.
I don't know
I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah.
I came and was like, hey, okay, like let's do it. No, yes. This was great. And I told her before we began, you guys, like, I had questions. Of course, we've talked about so much. So things that I felt like she
I
said
know.
that really resonated with me, I knew I was going to try to, get out of her again. But really just kind of wanted to catch her off guard and throw her about all
Yes.
over the place. But sometimes those are the best times. Like Oprah,
Mm-hmm.
how she did Adele. What is your,
Yeah. Yeah.
what are your expectations of this conversation? But it's great. Like I said, my true copy is in the mail. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to obviously open it, but I want to, like, seal it.
I know. Like, I don't even, I think I just got lipstick on this while I had it all up on my face. But
Oh,
yeah,
listen.
it's been like just sitting. This is the book, guys.
Yes, I was about to say, hold it up, let them see. So also say, because these are the types of questions Sheree asks and wants to know things. Caneeka's very intentional. So why is this why even this cover photo? Like, why is this the photo on the front?
So when, so okay, the pictures, first of all, I have to give credit to the photographer, Morgan Knight. I did a post. Her birthday was
Mm-hmm.
like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look on my feed, there's a post dedicated to her. But
Mm-hmm.
she took these pictures. It was like the height of the pandemic. Everything was shut down. And she's like, I wanna, let's take some pictures. I was like, okay, so we were this this picture and the one on the back taken in the same
Mm-hmm.
place.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like sneaking into a place that was like barricaded,
Right.
and because pandemic, like y'all shouldn't
Yes.
even be outside type thing.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and there's like this, I don't know, this wheel thing. It's not a table, it's
Mhm.
like a wheel that I'm sitting on. And she was like, "Oh, I want to get some shots under this
Mhm.
magnolia tree." Like she was like, "I love magnolias," and I don't think
Mhm.
I'd ever seen or like paid attention to it.
Mhm.
And so when the pictures came back, I was just like, in a high place. Like
Yes.
that was the first thing
Yes.
like that popped into my
Mhm.
head when I saw just me
Right.
underneath this grand thing. And
Right.
going back to Psalm 91, where it talks about, you know, he will cover you and protect you under,
Mhm.
like, with his pinions, and wings, under his wings, you'll find refuge.
Mhm.
Like, this just looks like a place of refuge and
Yes.
protection. And
Yes.
so it was just an instant, like, I don't know how, but this has to be it.
Yeah.
And then there just like the element of when we took it and what was happening in the
Mhm.
world, and
Mhm.
um there, like, I couldn't get my hair done. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's just
Mhm.
all the things that you would not, like, there was no makeup team, and
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
it was just like this raw and uncertain and
Mhm.
confusing
Right.
time
Right.
in history.
Yes.
And
Oh,
this came out, you know, and
yeah.
I was just like, yeah, like everything about it just feels vulnerable, looks
Mhm.
vulnerable, and just goes with
Mhm.
the things that I talk about throughout the
Mhm.
book.
Yeah.
This stripping down,
Mm.
and like sitting with and being
Oh.
clear, and that it just, every time I look at it, I'm just like, I'm in love with this picture.
No,
Like,
but yeah, it's
I,
perfect.
yeah. So
But
I tell
yeah,
her, I'm
because
like, Morgan, you are just like the GOAT. Like, you're just
listen.
amazing at what you do and the gift that God has given you, because um, I don't know what I was expecting when I was
Mhm.
sitting there, but
Right. Right.
that
Right.
is just
Right.
so pretty. It's just so pretty to me.
But that's all a part
Um,
of it. Oh, I even think
yeah,
in God's intention. So
yeah.
mm, I don't see questions, but um, thanks, Quenisha. In the very in one of the opening just kind of quotes or excerpts you have right here, I want you all to hear this. May our voices never get lost in the entanglement of fear, causing us to forget how important our expression of truth is to the power of our growth. If you don't go pick this up for any other reason, but that is how we gonna get
Um,
into the book.
yeah, yeah. That is like
I
the first
mean,
page
yes.
after the
So
dedication.
get
Yeah.
into it. I'm a highlighter, and let me tell you why. I should just not, but I still do it.
You
I
have
still do it, but it's
to.
just like,
You like have to highlight. I'm like, I have, this is like my,
listen,
this is not
listen,
the fun copy, but I have
listen.
pages folded down, stuff is all crinkled. I have like just
I'm talking.
words
Who am I
written.
talking? Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to here? Me? You? I don't know. I mean, I feel privileged. I have access to the author, so I'm like, girl, turn to page. Let
Yeah.
me tell you what I said. But
And
but
some of the other people who were my early readers, they
uh,
sent me their copies back so that I could
oh,
like
was I supposed to
review
send it?
and
Oh,
no,
sorry.
no,
I just
no.
talked your head off
But
about it.
it was, no, it was hilarious because they were like, "Oh my God, girl, this right here." So I'm like, I kind of want you guys to get your copies back because I feel like these notes are like,
I didn't. So whoever else you were, I didn't. I
you're
kept
like,
mine.
I'm not giving up mine.
I called. We talked
We'll
one day,
just
and I was
chat.
like, "Let me read this to you." And then finally, I was like, "Well, I won't take up your whole day, but but just so you know." Yes, there it is though. But please, like, don't forget to go check it out. Not just that, but check out her page. This is not her first rodeo, so check out her other books.
Yes, check it
And I'm gonna keep
out.
sending people your way. I love what you're doing with, with how you're sharing it. The playlist, I think, is one of my favorites.
Oh my God.
Just in general. So go, like, check it out, listen to it. I want your permission to dance to your words, but I don't know, I'm gonna have to pay you so that you speak it, because I don't want to say it. I'm gonna Londrelle it, put it over some music.
Oh, yeah.
We're about to make an album. So
yes, we are. This is the actual
right, right. Nobody try to hijack
progress.
that idea. But yeah. Well, look, you need her permission anyway, or we come in free.
Anyway.
But no, just so many things. But I'm not joking. So, like, seriously, like, I'm serious. I'm actually very serious. So we'll get to that at another time. But I don't know. I'll let you wrap us up, because I keep saying I'm gonna stop and I don't. So
I know. Thank you guys for coming. Sheree, I love you. Sheree and I go back forever ago, all the way to college. She was in my wedding. So it is just love. And obviously, like, you can tell, we just have such great dynamic and sisterhood and friendship. And so I love you.
Yes.
I thank God for you. I'm glad to be on this journey with you. And I just truly appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for popping on here with us at this late in the evening, but this is like party time for me. I'm always up at this time. So these kids are in the bed.
It's the one thing I won't let go of. They're asleep.
Yes, I should be asleep, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm usually popping up at this time anyway, but thank you guys for joining us.
Yes.
If you've already gotten your copies, thank you so much. I have like baby goals that I'm trying to hit, and you guys are helping me accomplish that. And so I truly appreciate it. Get a copy for somebody, anybody, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty. If you don't even read it, look at how cute.
Listen,
I mean,
it's so good. You know what? And when I saw, like, Kiara also does the aesthetics. When I saw how I was like, girl, like, let me go set up our coffee table.
So cute. People have sent me pictures of it, like, in trees, in flowers. I'm like,
I love
the
it.
way that y'all are, like, just because the trees and the earth is the theme also, that it just really warms my heart. So I truly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Love you, sis.
Love you too.
So you're saving it, right?
Wait. Yes.
So when it ends,
is it at the end? Oh, okay.
Yes, don't forget, don't run away from your phone. But of course, whatever she says, I mean, post it or send it to me, because I want to post it too. But share, say, it's important. And again, this is not her last one. Okay, so look out on her page for more.
There will be another one on Sunday, so I'll share it, get that post out, and let you guys know about that one.
And I'll be on my best behavior, maybe.
Okay. All right, love you guys.
Bye.